It's Karen Baker and I'm really delighted to be with you today to talk about Altenew's brand new release for January 2020. It's an absolutely gorgeous release, cram-packed full of beautiful stamps and dies and stencils, and I've picked some of them which Altenew kindly sent to me, and I've created some of the projects which you can see here, and I'm going to talk about how I've made them with some little tips and show you the products that I've got. I haven't got the whole release, but I've got loads of gorgeous products which I want to show you. So we'll talk about these cards in a moment, but what I wanted to do was just run through the products, and I can show you them in detail, and then I can talk a little bit about what I've actually made, with hopefully some ideas to get you started when you get these products too. For those of you that are interested in getting hold of them and you've maybe not come across Altenew before, I will be putting a link in the description so that you can go directly to Altenew's website and their blog. And of course, you might have come from my blog, but other details will be on my blog too, and that will be linked in the description below. So on to the first one. This is one of my favorites, a really, really versatile die. You can see just how intricate it is. And for any of you that are worried about it cutting because it's so intricate, no worries at all. It cut perfectly every single time. Now it's got a bit of an Art Deco feel to it, the way that I used it at least, but for those of you that love paper piecing, you're going to absolutely adore this because you can create so many different patterns just by using it. So that's the first one. The second one is a tartan stamp. Now do excuse the state of it. Sometimes if you're using very dark inks, it might stain your stamps. It does absolutely nothing to the stamp's ability to keep producing perfect images. Yours will come looking absolutely perfect, but this is just a sign of a well-loved stamp. So this, you can create all sorts of brilliant tartan effects, or indeed you can just use it for a grid if you've got little images that you wanted to put in here. Really versatile, and you've got different stripes, so you can actually create them if you wanted to have extra lines going. Some tartans are actually very complex, and you've got the little squares down here, and you've got a gorgeous sentiment. See that there? You warm my heart. So that's the second one. The next one is called Parlor Palm. Probably easier if I show you the actual, sorry about the glare, try and get rid of it. It creates this absolutely beautiful palm, which you can use as two parts to the pot, so you actually get some shading on here, but you don't have to use it like that. In one of my cards, I've just used it as one of the leaves to go with the stamped image, but loads and loads that you can do with that. So that's the palm set. The next set, which is, as it's called, Incredible, absolutely gorgeous, larger blousy blooms. For those of you that love colouring, this is perfect. If any of you like paper piecing, again, there's enough image left blank between the petals that could really show through some beautiful pattern paper. So this is a really gorgeous set with loads of really lovely sentiments. You can do anything you put your mind to. Incredible human being, you are very special. There's no one like you. These sentiments are actually really great for men and women, and I really love that. I mean, if you took that and you did that in a graphic way with this, you could have a perfect card for a bloke or for a female, depending on what sort of style they like. But try and think out the box with your stamp sets. There are so many things that you can do with them. The next set, which is a brilliant example of how Altenew do beautiful floral images. This is one of their floral sets. It is a multi-stamp. So you start off, I mean, I've used it with just 2 steps. You've got the outline and then the main and then the detail. So it is a 3-step set, but you don't have to use it like that. And you've got gorgeous feathery images here which add to the movement of your card. It's really, really beautiful, and I'll show you that on the card. And the last one, that I chose was this Hello and Hugs die set. And if you have a look at the bottom, you can see you can use it in 3 ways. You can use the background because you can still tell that it says hello. And then you've got the more detail in this lovely calligraphy scripty type font. And then you can use those 2 separately, or you can join them together as I did in my examples, and you can create something that has a bit of a background to really bring the main sentiment to life. So those are the ones that I chose. Now, if we take the first one, which is this one. Now it says there is no one like you. There's no one like you. And there aren't many cards like this either. You might be wondering why there is space. It's just to do something a little bit different. This card does stand up, so you can see, and there is room for people to write in it. You might be able to do a little curved way of writing. I used to do circular letters. You could do that with that. All I've done is I've taken my basic card blank and then got some of the circle dies. Most of us at home have got your basic circle dies, easy to get hold of. You can see I've just cut out a circle, and I've not done it on the folded side, I've done it on the non-folded side, and then all I've done is used larger cutting out for the yellow layer, and you can see just peeking out here, you can see the ornate cover die. Bring that back in. Now, what I tend to find with dies that are really ornate, sometimes I will put glue, little tiny dots of glue all over with a fine pointed glue, but it's really, really quick and simple if you use either a double-sided adhesive sheet or actually adhesive cardstock. And I had some lovely grey, and that's what I've used with it each time because it just makes things really, really simple. So again, I cut out another slightly larger curve. There's the Parlor Palm. And who says leaves have to be green? These ones are blue because it fits in with the colour scheme. Now, you might be noticing these. You can see here, I've got the incredible flowers. Let's get the incredible set. So you can see which flowers I've used here. Now, some of you might be a little bit bothered about stamping and heat embossing because I don't know whether you can see, this is actually heat embossed. There's a little bit of a shine. When you do that, sometimes with vellum, the vellum does warp. So a little handy trick is to use a substance called Duralar. Now, this is the matte version. It's an acetate alternative. It is plastic base, but it doesn't warp when you actually heat emboss with it. So, and it also is quite structural. So you can fold it and it stays where it is. So even if we flatten it for a card, it will still pop up again. So that's a great one. And I've used my little white gel pen. I use these pens an awful lot. I like doodling. So I've just used white gel pen, and this is just a black, very, very thin. It's a drawing pen, so it's got a very fine line on it. So I've used the white one just to add little bits. And there's also a little bit of alcohol ink, just to give a little bit of a background beneath that. Alcohol ink is fine on Duralar. And again, these little middles of the flowers, who says they have to be yellow or orange? Just make them your own. So that's that card. Very, very simple. And again, I've just heat embossed with white for the sentiment, which also comes from the incredible set. So that's that first one. A little bit different. You could do this with a square. There are so many ways of doing it. And if you wanted more structure, and you didn't want the gap, by all means put acetate through, so that will actually just give structure to the edge of the card. So that's the first one. So the next one, let's go to the one that I had the most fun making, which was this one. Now, this might look really difficult, but it's actually super easy, and it's something that anybody can do. So again, using my ornate cover die. So using this one, there are so many ways of picking out the patterns. So I've die cut it with my adhesive backed cardstock. And then all I've done is put it onto a black piece of cardstock and got out my pen and doodled. There's no right or wrong. If you want to do an abstract pattern, you could do asymmetrical and have it coming down from one side. I decided to do a symmetrical design. So all you need to do is just pick out little bits. You can see I've done dots. I've done some colouring in, or you can just take your gel pen and literally just colour in little bits, as much or as little. It's very relaxing. It's a bit like the colouring books that you can get that's supposed to be to do with mindfulness. This is really relaxing. I've used the hugs with some matte mirror card and the matching back that goes, which is slightly larger than the word. Very, very easy to do. If you've just started out with your card making, crafting, with scrapbooking, whatever you've started out using Altenew products, this is really nice and easy. And I could see this as a band on a scrapbook page or journal. So many, many ways of using it. So that's the second one. The third one is this card. This is such a beautiful set. Now you can see, if you look closely, you may not be able to see very well on the camera, I have actually stamped it in grey. And when I stamped it, I actually didn't look very closely at what I was doing. It isn't difficult to line up at all. So even though I didn't get it absolutely perfectly, because I wasn't concentrating very much, it doesn't matter, because the way that it's been designed means that you can still get away with that, and it just adds to the texture and the dimension of it. So I did it in grey to start off with, and then I just put a light colour. So the way these works, and I'm sure lots of you will be aware with these already, but you use the biggest block colour. So the more solid image, you use the lighter colour, and then you put the detail in with a slightly darker colour. So that's what I did there. And then for those of you that like colouring but maybe don't want to colour from scratch, this is a great way of getting in your alcohol marker pens. I actually use my Prismacolor pencils. So I actually added a little bit more to all of the edges by a slightly darker Prismacolor pencil. Didn't take me very long, and it looks like you've spent ages doing it. Again, black and white darts just to give some more interest to the card. And I actually, if you look closely, you can see I actually punched out a couple of holes so you could see the backing through. And this, I absolutely love this part of the stamp set. It's quite different to the main image, but it goes so perfectly. This would be absolutely beautiful watercolor to make it look like a daisy or something like that, but I've just done that in grey, so it really much is in the background, so it doesn't detract from the focal point. And I've just added a little bit of watercolor to the center of the flowers to give it a bit of a background, to add the beautiful bold pop of orange flower on the top. Absolutely beautiful. And I've used the sentiment from the Incredible set as well. So, you know, these sets just match and mix together really, really well. So that's that one. And then the last one, this is probably one of the more simple ones. If you're just starting out, this is really, really easy. And it's using the tartan set. So I didn't want to do traditional tartan. I wanted to give it a bit more of a contemporary look. So I stamped out the main tartan image. Let me get my tartan set back here. So I just stamped this out in different colours. So you can see here, just stamp them out on a piece of cardstock. And then all I've done is I've cut out sections of them. As you can see here, I've just cut out a little bit. And for those of you that are worried about fussy cutting, this is so easy because it's just straight lines. So just a simple cut out with scissors. And there you've got your little cross there. So I put different colours in each section, and I turned it on its side. Instead of it being like that, which you often have, I wanted to have it in a diagonal way. And if you look closely, the background stamps, and I use the one that has lots of little lines, I've actually rotated it each time, and it just gives a little bit more movement and interest to the card. Using the Hello and Hugs die set again, black for the main part and white for the background, and I couldn't resist adding some white gel pen, a larger dot going down to a smaller dot. Again, it just gives a little bit of movement to the card. Really, really beautiful. I could have played with these for days. A really, really inspiring launch. I hope you take a really good look at their release. There is so much to see. I can't wait to actually use these sets again because there is so much more that you can do with it. Do go and have a look on their blog. Do join in with the blog hop. There are so many inspiring designers along the way, and it will give you an idea of other ways of using these absolutely gorgeous sets. So thank you for being with me. I hope you've enjoyed this little look through the different cards and different styles you can get from the same sets. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.